This is World Cafe. I'm Raina Douris. I'm joined by Stephen Page right now. And we're speaking on video chat. We're speaking online. I'm talking to you, Stephen, from Toronto at the moment. Usually I'm in Philly, but Toronto's where I'm from, and I'm back here for the time being. Where are you right now?
I'm in my basement in the suburbs of Syracuse, New York.
And
But
so you are from Canada, and so you actually live in upstate New York.
yeah, I've lived down here for about 10 years now, but, still a Canadian. I still count as Canadian content, I think.
I think so. Is there anybody else with you, or do you have any other humans, any animals that are quarantining with you right now?
Yeah, my wife is upstairs right now. My stepson is with his dad now, but he'll be back in a couple days. And then we have two dogs and a cat.
Okay,
And
so it's
the
busy.
dogs are totally like they're. I am so happy we have these dogs. They are so annoying, and they keep me occupied, and they keep me sane.
Yeah, it's a reason you have to go outside.
It's true.
And so you are in your basement, and it's a studio. Could you explain the setup you have there for us?
Sure. So this is a I guess it was a spare bedroom in the basement when we bought this place, and it was really dingy, like vinyl floor and just cold and low ceiling and no lights. And I went on tour, and my amazing wife Christine, when I was on tour in the UK a couple years ago, totally like decked this place out, built all these cabinets and drawers and these sound panels and everything on the wall, and I basically spend all my time down here. Is where I make my records now.
And you have actually been playing live stream concerts from your basement, correct?
Yeah, there's a site called Side Door Access, which was started by the songwriter singer Dan Mangan as a way to match people up with house concerts. So like an artist could say, I want to go to British Columbia or Oregon or whatever else, and they would match you up with hosts of house concerts there. But they've uh, pivoted, I guess is the word you're supposed to use now. I hate, ugh, it makes me feel
I
weird
know.
to say, ugh, I feel gross, but I said pivoted. No stopping now. It's a new paradigm. I have to say.
They found a synergy.
Oh, so gross. Synergy reminds me of when we used to be on Warner Brothers Records and on Reprise, and they got bought by. Imagine this: America Online was bigger than Time Warner, and
Right.
America Online bought Warner's, and they were always talking about the synergy between AOL and Warner's.
Yeah.
That's how I
No.
feel now. But, anyways, where like oh yes, the pivoting for these live streams. So they've pivoted to this kind of live stream online show. It's a ticketed event, and I've been doing them every Saturday evening in my basement and selling. Like I do them on Zoom, so there's you can do them on other platforms, but with Zoom you can actually see the audience and they can
Yeah.
see each other. And so I have like 1,000 people every Saturday night where I can see them on my screen and they can see me, but they can also see each other and they chat inside of it and whatever else. And it's the closest thing to feeling like a real concert. It's not the same as a concert in a venue, but it's kind of shockingly uh, uh, connected feeling. And I think like people really start to look forward to those shows as a way to see not just me but each other.
Yeah, it's because when you're on a stage and you're looking out there and there's like a light shining on you, you can't actually see every single face in the crowd. But with this, that must be kind of weird. You can see like all of these people right on staring right at you.
Well, and not only can I see all of them staring at me or not staring at me, I can see them like there was somebody in the bathtub last week. There's like people in the kitchen, there are people in their backyard, people on the couch, people with kids and pets running around. It's pretty amazing, and there's people from I can see the chat going as I'm singing, which is also weird because like during a show in a venue, you'd be like, please don't talk. I'm trying to
Yeah.
sing this. But here it's kind of cool. And it's people like they're in New Zealand, they're in Australia, they're in England, they're in Canada, the US, whatever. And, getting together in one place is a pretty cool thing.
It's
I
like
hate, I kind of hate that it's like, new technology is the thing that's keeping us together. I like the fact that there's something out there to do it, but I wish I had a better idea.
I know, I know. It's been very interesting to see how people have kind of adapted to this and thinking about if this happened even 20 or 50 years ago, this whole pandemic would look completely different.
Right.
How would we be doing anything? Um,
Absolutely.
I thought it was really interesting because I think there's been a lot of live streaming and a lot of stuff like that, but it hasn't been ticketed. And I thought that was a really smart idea because it reminds you that this is your livelihood. This is what musicians, you would normally pay to go for a show. When you're going on an Instagram live stream, you would like it would be free. And I thought that was a really neat thing. So I was going to ask you how you set that up, but I guess it was through Side Door. So
it was
works
through
that way.
Side Door, but it was a tough decision because you want to be. I want to be, as a musician, I want to be accessible. I want to be able to offer comfort and solace and connection with music fans, especially in a tough time like this when so many people are stuck at home or working really intense jobs as first responders. And there's a great wave of people doing charitable stuff and free stuff, and that's all amazing and great. But for me, I felt like I watch so many of my my peers really struggling in the arts right now, and in music in particular, we've gotten used to people valuing music less. I mean, we make almost you don't make records to make a living anymore. You tour and stuff to make a living, which is now gone. Touring is gone for a long time. I think even as everything starts to open up over the course of the summer and into the fall, we may not see touring happen until next year. It's going to be a long time, and I really wanted to be able to just to see if people were still willing to pay for music. So I'll do all the kind of charitable live streams I can do when people invite me on other stuff, and but at the same time, like, kind of keep this tradition of going to a gig.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. And Dan from Side Door had started doing it. And I had to make the choice whether to keep donating his income from that to charities or to start trying to pay his own bills. And I thought that was really brave.
Mm-hmm. So you've been doing these live streams. You've also been writing. One of the songs you've written since the beginning of Self-Isolation is your song, Isolation. And I want to ask you about it in a second. But first, could you play it for us?
Here we go.
All right.
2, 3, 4. Everybody in the house next door. Everybody on the ocean floor. Everybody on the grocery store sing, oh, 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 oh. Everybody says the baking bread. Everybody feel the creeping dread. Everybody going back to bed like me. I'm here to stay. Everybody taking online courses. Everybody with the tiny horses. Everybody due to unseen forces. Oh, 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 oh. Everybody with the broken dreams. Everybody on the big sport teams. Everybody with the fake news memes. In isolation, 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 isolation. Oh, 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 oh. Everybody on an empty fridge. Everybody on the Brooklyn Bridge. Everybody with the privilege sing, oh, 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 oh. Everybody with the lonely heart. Everybody sharing graphs and charts. Everybody singing wherefore art thou, oh, 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 meow. I could take the easy route and say this is the way we've always been, but spend a couple hours down the rabbit hole and you'll know what I mean. Everybody who just lost their gig. Everybody who is starting big. Everybody gonna flip their wig like me. I'm going crazy. Everybody with the cable cut. Everybody in the Pizza Hut. Everybody is together but in isolation. Isolation. Isolation, isolation. Oh, 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 oh. Everybody with a nice clean tone. Everybody with the filthy phone. Everybody staying home alone like me. I'm here to say that everybody gonna make some stuff. Everybody gonna say enough. Everybody gonna call their bluff in isolation. 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 Oh, 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 oh.
See, and this is a weird part where I am like the only person in the audience looking at you, and I can see myself.
That's the strangest thing about any kind of online stuff is like, usually you're looking right into the void. At least there's one person there, Raina. It's nice.
And I was enjoying it. That sounded amazing. Thank you. That was
Thank
Stephen
you.
Page playing Isolation live from his basement on World Cafe. I'm Raina Douris speaking to Stephen Page. That's a really, really fun song. You can see me grooving along to it. But the first thing that I heard it was, and I mean this in the best way, it feels probably closer to almost any song I've ever heard. Like I'm scrolling through Twitter, and
Totally.
Have you been spending a lot of time online?
Way more than I wanted to. And like I wrote that right when the shutdown was starting to happen. It was like I was working up in Canada, up at the Stratford Festival, working on rehearsing a musical that I wrote for them. And we were going to rehearsals every day. And on the Friday, I think it was Friday the 13th, we showed up at rehearsal and they sent us home. And they said, just wait it out a few days. We'll figure out what's going on. And as this is happening, this is the week that really stuff started to get real. Sports was getting cut and Tom Hanks was diagnosed. Like all those like little.
It all happened in one day. The NBA
Yeah.
and Tom Hanks and all that stuff.
That's right. And I think that was on the Wednesday. And I just remember not being able to get off Twitter and the news sites and whatever else. And when I was sitting there kind of waiting to see what was going to happen, because it seems so quaint now, but 2 months ago it seemed like maybe in a few weeks we'll be back at work again or something. And I just started writing this song very quickly. And I'm not usually the kind of person that goes, hey, I've got an idea. I'm going to write a topical song right now. But it just started coming out, and I enjoyed it because it was, there's current pop culture references, and there's jokes, and then there's also the dread and depression that goes along with it, and anxiety.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned that dread in the song. And when you released it, you put a little statement out where you talked about that depression and that anxiety that you were experiencing and the fear. And I think a lot of people, that probably sounds really familiar right now.
Right.
How have you been dealing with those emotions since that beginning when you wrote that song? How's your mental health right now?
Right now, pretty good. I'm kind of in this mode where I'm busy all the time, like doing these streaming shows. I've been taking requests, which means I have to practice old songs or songs I've never played before, and which is anxiety-inducing in its own way, but in a kind of a healthy way, I think. But I do have this part of me that's afraid that if I stop for a second, I'm just going to collapse. And it seems to have been these kinds of waves, like that beginning when things were starting to shut down. It was this sense of like, I wrote that song, and I thought I got to keep doing stuff, writing stuff, and I'm going to take this opportunity to write my next album or finish recording it because I was partway through, and I felt like I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to be productive. And we see all the memes online about people trying to finish their novel in quarantine, or Shakespeare finishing King Lear and while he was in quarantine and so on. And I think it's unfair to everybody to think that they have to be that productive, and that just getting through the day healthily is the most important thing. So I got home from being up in Canada, and I think I just collapsed for a couple weeks. Like I emptied Netflix, so there's nothing left. Like shook the box of Netflix cereal, and one dating show fell out into my bowl. And I thought, I'm going to do something else.
Yeah.
So it's just been kind of like a mix of depressed and then anxious and then manic and then not. And then I don't know. Every day is different too. My mood, my outlook on what the future is going to be like, not just for work, but just for humanity.
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you're alone in that. I mean, for me, that's definitely sounds like my experience too. First 2 weeks, I couldn't even listen to music. Like, I couldn't, like, the idea of, for work, I would put on the music I was writing about for my show. And then the idea of choosing something was like too hard. I was like, I'm
Right.
just going to lie down in silence.
The music that gives you comfort or nourishes you or whatever else. Like I didn't have any desire for it.
Yeah.
People were saying, "Well, what are you listening to in quarantine?" And I was kind of embarrassed to say, like, kind of nothing.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I've got the Criterion Channel. I'll watch some movies that are going to nourish my soul and my intellect. No, I couldn't get through that stuff too. I had to just watch Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah. No, I get it. That's like, yeah, stuff where you can just turn your brain off for a little while.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to Stephen Page on Roll Cafe. I'm Raina Douris. You did mention this. Right before isolation hit, you were busy working on a musical. And I was wondering if you could quickly give us the Cole's notes on what that show is about.
Sure. So it's a musical called "Here's What It Takes" that I wrote with the Canadian playwright Daniel McIver, and I've been working on this for like 7 years or so. I've been doing a lot of work at the Stratford Festival. So for people who aren't familiar with it, it's Canada's biggest classical theater festival. They do all the works of Shakespeare and then other classical dramatists from the centuries, but they also do musical theater. And I've been doing scoring for their classical pieces for Hamlet and Macbeth and so on over the years. And their artistic director, Anthony Cimolino, kept saying to me, "So when are you going to bring us a musical?" And I love musicals. I really love musical theater. But I just didn't know where to start. And I had a bunch of songs several years ago where I took it to the people at the festival and said, I think this is something. Like, I think there's an arc here, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know how to tell the story. And it's not, it's informed by my own story, but it's not my story. And they introduced me to a bunch of different potential collaborators, and I ended up working with Daniel McIver on it. And he constructed this story that could sound very familiar to people who know some of my history with Bare Naked Ladies. That it's about a band. It's about two guys who start a band together, who are best friends. And this starts in the early '80s and goes to the present. And they make it big, and they break up, and they're still somehow intertwined for years to come. So it's about the nature of friendship and love and the idea of how much might actually be enough admiration, enough connection with other people. But it's also about, well, here's what it takes. I mean, which sounds like hey kid, here's what it takes to make it in showbiz, which was kind of the intention, but it's also really about here's what it takes from you and from the people around you. And it's been such a blast doing it. Of course, it's been depressing as hell that they have had to postpone the whole season. And I mean, I can only hope it's going to happen next year. But we were right in the middle of rehearsals with this amazing cast and watching these songs come to life and see these people acting them and doing choreography with them and so on. It's just what a delight.
Yeah. And there's a song in the musical called No Song Left to Save Me. And I saw you speaking with my old colleague at the CBC, Tom Power, about it. And you performed it on his show. And you were talking about this idea that a song could save someone's life. And it really struck me. You said in the interview that songs have saved your life multiple times. So I have to ask, what is a song that saved your life?
Oh, I think about a song. There have been times when I've been so inside of myself and feeling hopeless, and I put a song on, like, it could be Aretha Franklin's version of Say a Little Prayer for You. But for me, the ultimate, like, that's one that will always snap me out of whatever I'm doing. But the ultimate is This Is What She's Like by Dexys Midnight Runners. It's this 17-minute epic that will never cease. I actually have a playlist that is the 17-minute version plus a 30-minute live version and another 25-minute live version. And I can listen to that on repeat because it just never ceases to make me feel amazing. And actually, this song is kind of influenced by that song in a way, that song, No Song Left to Save Me. But it's the idea of like for me, what I grapple with is, who am I? Like, what does it matter whether I make music anymore? I mean, it matters to me. It helps me, but does it matter to the audience? Like, why bother even releasing it sometimes? You can't help but feel that way sometimes and get lost, like you're getting lost. And then you think, well, who are you to say now's the time to stop when the next thing you do could mean something to one individual that saves their life in a way. I mean, that could be metaphorical, saving their life, but whatever it is, if it connects with somebody else, then who am I to stop it?
I'm hanging out with Stephen Page on World Cafe. He's in his home studio in upstate New York. He's kindly agreed to play some songs for us on World Cafe today, and you're going to play another one for us now. It's from your 2018 album, Heal Thyself, Discipline Part 2. And the song's called Gravity. Reading over the lyrics, listening to the song, I have a feeling I may know why you wanted to play this song, but can you tell us, why did you choose this song to play right now?
Well, this is a song that actually, my last 2 records, a lot of that stuff is actually material I wrote for the musical. I didn't want to say it when I put those records out in case the musical never happened. And then since then, I've also written songs for the musical that aren't on any records. But this is a song that in Here's What It Takes, the band is broken up. It's the early 90s now, and one of the characters feels that he needs to step out and show himself off as a artiste, and he creates this kind of concept album, but somewhere between Harry Nilsson's The Point and maybe it's like a show, so maybe like David Byrne's American Utopia, which of course didn't exist yet, but that type of thing. He's not quite as good as either of those people. But this song's good, and it's a song about a fictitious place and time in the future in which religious sentiment takes precedence over science and empirical fact. Now, I mean, none of us have lived in that kind of regime, but I mean, it's a warning in case people decide that somehow science shouldn't be listened to, and that gut feelings and abstract thought about religion are much more important.
All right, let's hear it. It is Gravity, Stephen Page on World Cafe.
So this is how the whole world ends, when all mankind at last repents for self-appointed governments that make no sense, and hence we no longer rise to their lives. And pay no mind to scientists who hide the truth behind a mist of fancy words and Mayan twists. We can't believe you're buying this, because you were wrong, we knew you were wrong. Yes, all along we knew you were wrong. We sing this song to prove you were wrong. You were wrong, we knew all along. And all I can see is what God tells me to see. And now we live in a world where they've outlawed gravity. Yeah, we live in a world where they've outlawed gravity. Pythagoras and Copernicus, just mortal men like the rest of us. We let them get the best of us, and now we fail God's test of us, because we were wrong, we knew we were wrong. Yes, all along we knew we were wrong. We sing this song to prove we were wrong. We got strong from being so wrong. And all I can see is what God tells me to see. And now we live in a world where they've outlawed gravity. Yeah, we live in a world where they've outlawed gravity. Calculus and astronomy, they pale beside Deuteronomy. You ban the drugs and the sodomy. That's how you fix the economy. Because we were wrong, we knew we were wrong. Yes, all along we knew we were wrong. We sing this song to prove we were wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. And all I can see is what God tells me to be. to know the answer? Don't you think you'd have the cure for cancer? If he wanted you to know the answer, don't you think you'd have the cure for cancer? Woo!
Woo!
Thank you.
That was awesome. I forgot you were in a basement for that. That was amazing. I feel like I could sit here all day and just be like, can you play this song now?
Yeah, I'll take requests. It's fine.
That was amazing. That was Gravity, performed live for World Cafe by Stephen Page in his basement studio in upstate New York. Before I let you go, I want to end on maybe a hopeful note. What is something positive that you feel might come from this, whether it's a personal thing or on a larger scale?
Well, I think for me, I kind of fell into this. I really, over the last bunch of years, have stayed the hell off of social media. I always felt like my skin was just too thin. Like for one complaint, someone says your album is mixed too loud, or I don't like your voice, or whatever it is, and I'm like, for the 1,000 people who said they loved what I did, I don't hear that. I hear the negative. That's my problem. But I just thought, okay, I'll post stuff to it, or I'll have other people post stuff to it, just to kind of tell people what I'm up to, where they can see me, or what I've got coming out. But since I've started doing these live streaming shows, and because I'm taking requests from fans, I'm on that stuff and actually talking to people, and I feel like it not only has it given me a lift, but it's helping other people, and I guess I can only hope that just leads to a more sustainable life when this is all over. And I think we're seeing that with a lot of different artists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that engagement, that connection, like the real personal connection that you're able to make.
Right. And it's not just about selling stuff. And I think
Yeah.
I started to I was for quite a while using that
The
just
word
to sell
engagement
stuff.
maybe is not what you want to say. It's like
Right. And but it is like, it's keeping them focused, but not in a way where I feel like I'm some corporation that needs to keep eyes on the screen and talking, and creating buzz or anything else. I mean, I'm way past buzz. That's not a thing that I can imagine in my life. But when I go to a show and I say, "Oh, there's that person. Oh, there's that person I was talking to," there's a fine line between kind of friend and fan and that kind of thing. And when I was younger, I didn't know how to navigate that. And so the online world can make it even more dangerous, I think, sometimes. But now I think it's clear. People come because they like the music and they might feel connected to who I am, and I can be appreciative and connected to them in the same way, and feel like there's still boundaries. And that's something that's changed for me.
Mm-hmm. Stephen Page, thank you so much for joining me today on World Cafe.
Thanks, Raina. Great to see you.
Thank you.